My sister found out who she is now, it's chaos. She stood in the doorway like a storm, not outside, but inside herself. Not wet with rain, but dripping with truth. Her hands trembling, her eyes wide, like she'd just woken from a century of sleeping with lies. And when she said, "I know who I am now," the air cracked like thunder. A glass fell in the kitchen, shattered, not from the wind, but from the shift in the universe. We always thought she was the quiet one, the keeper of silence, the softest part of our house. But now, she speaks like a flame, wild, unpredictable, and honest, too honest for comfort. She dyed her hair fire and cut off the years we called obedience. She threw away dresses like old bandages and wore combat boots as if she'd been fighting since birth. She stopped apologizing for her laughter, for her volume, for her questions, for the way she wanted answers that no one ever gave her. She found old books under her bed and wrote her name on the margins, as if reclaiming history. She whispered to herself in mirrors, learning the new shape of her smile. It was not cute. It was not polite. It was powerful, terrifying, raw. Our mother cried for 3 nights, not because she was gone, but because she'd become someone we didn't design. She wasn't the painting anymore. She was the artist, the brush, and the flame. She yelled at the dinner table, not in rage, but in truth, told our father that silence was not the same as respect, that obedience was not the same as love. And suddenly, the walls of our house felt too thin for a girl who had discovered she was made of sky. The neighbors whispered, said she was acting out, as if finding your voice was some kind of rebellion, as if asking why meant you were broken. But I watched her rise, every word like a brick, rebuilding her spine, every tear like a river, washing away the guilt. She listened to loud music and danced like protest. She wore earrings shaped like lightning and smiled like she'd finally met herself. She didn't want to be a daughter anymore, not like they told her to be. She wanted to be human, raw, flawed, blazing with her own fire. She didn't want to marry into a life. She wanted to build one with steel bones and a thunderous heart. And it was chaos. Yes, it was screaming and slamming doors. It was crying and fighting and truth. It was nights she didn't come home, and mornings she came back, smelling like midnight and revolution. But somehow, in all the madness, she looked more alive than I'd ever seen, like she wasn't surviving anymore. She was living, like she wasn't trying to fit into the picture frame. She was breaking the whole gallery, tearing down the frames, smashing the curated silence, ripping off the labels that called her delicate, pretty, manageable. She laughed at words like obedient, modest, appropriate, as if they were made to bury her beneath someone else's idea of what a girl should be. She told me once, with a grin that scared and thrilled me, "I'm not here to be digestible. I'm here to be consumed whole or not at all." And I knew then, this wasn't a phase. This wasn't rebellion. This was resurrection. She took all the pieces they broke and made armor from the sharpest ones. She carried her past like a sword, not to hurt, but to cut through the noise. She stopped shrinking in photos, stopped tilting her head, stopped dimming her joy. For people who couldn't handle her full wattage, she told men no. like it was her first language, told them she didn't owe them softness, or explanations, or smiles, not even for free drinks or fake peace. She said, I don't want safety, if it means silence. I don't want comfort, if it comes with conditions. And when she cried loudly, not hiding it behind bathroom doors or pillowcases. She wept like a rite, like a woman baptizing herself in saltwater truth. She wrote poetry on the back of bills, lyrics on her shoes, confessions in chalk on city sidewalks. Like every inch of her was aching to speak. People stopped recognizing her. They whispered, she's changed. And she smiled, like it was the highest compliment. They tried to drag her back, with guilt strings and old stories. Remember when you were sweet? They'd say, remember how quiet you used to be? And she'd laugh, yeah, she died. I buried her next to my shame. She wasn't angry, not all the time, but she was done, folding her fire into teacups, done making herself small enough to fit into their comfort zones. She danced in clothes that made her feel like a goddess at war. She wore her pain like piercings, her dreams like protest, and her scars like poems. Some days, she still stumbled, still ached, still doubted, because even queens have heavy crowns, even wildflowers struggle in concrete. But she never stayed down long. Her bounce back was gospel, her resilience, symphony, her growth a revolution, with no applause needed. She started talking to strangers, women in bathrooms, girls on buses, telling them, you don't owe anyone your silence. You are not too much. You are just enough. And something about her made others rise, too. Like her light wasn't just light. It was gasoline, igniting the voices others had buried for years. I watched her build friendships, like empires, surrounding herself with other loud hearts, women who wore their trauma like tattoos, and their truth like crowns. Together, they didn't just speak, they roared, they marched, they took up space in rooms that had only known the echo of male footsteps. They told jokes about patriarchy and perfection, about girlhood as a battlefield, about womanhood as a bloody, brilliant revolution. And every time they laughed, the world shook a little. And somewhere, another girl found the courage to open her mouth and scream. She found art in things we called broken, painted with dirt, with grief, with lipstick, created beauty from all the things we'd told her to hide. She wasn't here to be admired. She was here to be felt. And feeling her was like touching lightning, bare-handed. She didn't care if people misunderstood. She said, I'm not a quote to be framed. I'm a chapter still being written, and the ink is my own blood. She kissed girls and didn't apologize, held hands in the street, and dared the world to look away first. She forgave herself for all the years she spent as someone else, for all the times she said yes when her soul was screaming no. And the forgiveness was the fiercest freedom of all. Some nights she still sat alone on rooftops under bruised purple skies, wondering who she'd be if she hadn't been caged for so long. But even in those silences, she sparkled like the stars had waited centuries to speak her name. She wasn't trying to be liked anymore. She was trying to be whole. And wholeness is a wild, uncomfortable thing. It's messy and loud, and doesn't fit neatly into Instagram captions, or family dinners, or first impressions. But it's real, and it's hers. I asked her once how she knew who she was, how she found the map out of the maze, and she said, I didn't find a map. I burned the maze down, and somehow, in the ashes, she grew, not like a flower, but like a forest, deep-rooted, unbothered, untamed. And now, when she walks into rooms, the air rearranges itself, like it remembers what power smells like. She no longer waits for permission. She no longer asks to be chosen. She chooses herself every morning, like a religion. And we are left in awe, not just at who she's become, but at how many cages she had to set on fire to get here. My sister, my warrior, my wildfire, my mirror. She is chaos, yes, but she is also clarity. She is noise, but she is also the music underneath it. She is the storm and the stillness after. She is the scream and the silence that follows when the whole world realizes it just lost control of her. She is a question no one knows how to answer, and an answer no one knew they were searching for. And if you ever meet her, don't try to tame her. Don't try to label her. Just witness her, like a comet passing through your life. Too fast, too bright, too true, to ever forget. And when she's gone, you'll feel it. The empty space where your excuses used to live. You'll look at yourself and wonder what you've been calling life while she's been out there living